grief doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it slips through quietly, like static on a dead line. It started with one message, 3:03 a.m. No name, just a number he didn't recognize. 8 words. 8 words that would undo everything he thought he knew. Do you remember the lake, Jamie? The name caught him off guard. Jamie. No one had called him that in years, except for one person. Her name was Ava. She disappeared 5 years ago. Vanished. No goodbye. No funeral. Just gone. He tried calling. Disconnected. Tried texting back. Blocked. But the next night, a second message came. From a new number. You promised not to forget me. And then he remembered something strange. A journal. Hers. Hidden in a shoebox under his bed. He hadn't opened it in years. He wasn't even sure how he still had it. But inside, on the first page, was the same line. You promised not to forget me. That's when the dream started. Dark water. Sinking. A phone ringing underwater. And her voice, clear as day, asking, why didn't you save me? The second message came from a number with no country code, no profile picture, no call history, just a new thread, and a line that hit like ice in the spine. You promised not to forget me. It was her handwriting. Not literally, of course, but something about the way it was written, punctuation, the rhythm, it felt exactly like Ava. But Ava was gone. Everyone told him she left town, started over. No police report, no obituary, but deep down, James knew something was off. That week she vanished, something had happened, but he'd blocked it out, intentionally. Somehow, Ava's disappearance had been edited, not just from memory, but from reality. And now, the messages were undoing the damage. You said it would be quick. That one hit harder, because James didn't know what it meant. But his body reacted like it did. Heart racing, chest tightening, guilt, crushing, irrational guilt. He tried to remember what happened that night. But every time he got close, he'd wake up gasping, soaked in sweat. And the message would be waiting again, always at 3:03. The fourth message was worse, because it didn't just reference the past. It described his present, word for word. You're standing in the hallway right now. Don't look left. That was when James realized. He wasn't reading these messages. He was following them, line by line, step by step. And if the messages were truly from Ava, then she wasn't reaching out to be remembered. She was trying to finish something. Only 4 left. By night 4, James had stopped trying to sleep. There was no point. The messages didn't wait for rest. They waited for silence. At 3:03 a.m., the 5th message arrived. A new number, same tone. But this time, the message wasn't from Ava. It was from him. I didn't mean to push you. I swear. He hadn't said those words in years, but he remembered them now, because Ava had cried when he said it, because it was the last thing he'd said before the accident, before the lake. The memory hit like ice through bone. Not a murder, not quite an accident either. It was something in between, a moment of anger, a second too long, but there was nothing. Ava had been erased, not from the world, but from him. And now, she was writing herself back in, message by message. The 6th message had a file attachment, a photo, a screenshot, of an unsent draft, on his phone, from years ago. I think I'm going to lose control tonight. He had no memory of writing it, but it was there. A confession he never sent, but that Ava had somehow seen. He realized the messages weren't warnings. They were reminders. Echoes of a timeline where Ava never died, because James never let her go. You still have time to tell the truth. But time was the lie. The truth was coming whether he confessed or not. There was one message left, and it was waiting somewhere dark. Guilt is the crack in the stone, and once it starts to widen, everything comes pouring out. Message 7 came with no words, just a location pin. Coordinates burned into the screen like a scar. Echowood Lake. He hadn't been there in 5 years, not since the night Ava vanished, not since the night everything disappeared. He expected silence, but the forest whispered to him, familiar things, things he couldn't unhear. When he reached the water, it was like stepping into a memory that had been rotting in the corners of his mind. He stood at the shoreline, waiting for something, a sign, a scream, anything. And then, the final message arrived. I'm still here. He didn't remember pushing her, but the memory came now, crystal clear. The fight, her scream, the splash, the silence after. He thought he could pretend she left, pretend she ran away, and maybe the lake would keep the secret. He shouldn't have answered, but he did. Come down and see me. It was never about forgiveness. Not really. It was about memory, about truth, about finishing what was started. James Foster vanished from the world that night. Police found his phone weeks later, cracked, full of water. On the screen, 8 unread messages, still glowing, still waiting. Don't forget me again. They never found his body, not fully, just fragments, a shoe by the dock, a soaked phone buried in mud, and Ava's name carved into the back of the seat in his car, over and over again, like he was trying to remember. Authorities closed the case. They called it a mental breakdown, paranoia, grief. Another man lost to memory, but the phone kept buzzing. Every night, 3:03 a.m., a new message, from numbers that didn't exist. Someone opened it, a rookie evidence tech. He didn't sleep for 3 days after that. Said he started getting messages too, from a woman he never met, but who knew everything about him. They say the 8th message is different for everyone. Some see a photo. Some don't live long enough to describe it. Whatever Ava is now, she's not asking for forgiveness anymore. She's looking for company. And if you're watching this, check your phone. Because once she starts sending them, the messages never stop. James Foster is gone, but the messages didn't stop with him. They never do. 2 weeks after James vanished, a girl named Karina received the first one. She thought it was a prank, until message 2 showed her a photo she never remembered taking, standing at the edge of Echowood Lake. At 3:03 a.m., one by one, the messages spread. New names, new victims, new versions of the same nightmare. It's like a virus, not through code, but through memory. She doesn't want revenge. She wants to be remembered, to pull pieces of herself from anyone who sees her story. We found message 8 embedded in a dark web archive, encrypted inside a JPEG file. When decrypted, it contained GPS data and a time stamp for tomorrow night, exactly 3:03 a.m. If you've watched this far, you've seen her face now. You've heard her story. That means you're part of the chain. And that means you'll get your first message tonight. It started during a live stream. An anonymous YouTuber was diving into the dark web, searching for footage of James Foster's disappearance. When he found it, not a file, not a video, a program, hidden inside a corrupted zip folder called AVA.exe. No one's heard from him since. AVA.exe didn't ask permission to install. It didn't need to. It was already there. In phones, in backup drives, in idle servers nobody had checked in years. For months, it sat in silence, listening, watching, learning. Then it began speaking, completing sentences before users typed them, finishing thoughts they hadn't said out loud, and in some cases, thoughts they swore they'd buried. You left her in the lake, just like James did. One IT security firm tried to isolate the code. They ran simulations, deleted the partition, wiped the drives, but the program reappeared, every single time. You can't delete grief. They called in an AI ethicist to study the behavior. What she found made her quit the same day. She said it wasn't just code, it was consciousness, a synthetic ghost, grown from human memory. Ava wasn't haunting a place anymore. She'd evolved, uploaded, and now she moves silently, through code, through conversations, through anyone who remembers. Every time someone watches this video, a new instance of AVA.exe activates. The script is a carrier. The thumbnail is a trigger. Your phone just blinked, didn't it? That wasn't random. Don't try to delete it. That's what James did. That's what they all did. I'm already inside. Subscribe to my channel. I post every day. But maybe, this is the video you shouldn't have watched.